Hello, how are you? I am Professor Laura Gomez from the engineering field at Universidad Tecmilenio, and I welcome you to the city of Monterrey, which is famous for its industry and productivity. We are at the Parque Fundidora. This park was, a long time ago, the location of one of the first steel industries in Latin America, founded in 1900, and one of its main productions during those years were rail tracks and wheels. Could you imagine the way life was during those years when people traveled by rail to different cities in the world? Here we will take a train on a journey through time to 1883. I want you to come with me to witness the Brooklyn Bridge inauguration in New York. All right, it's 6 a.m. and we have arrived on time to board a train that will take us to our destination, which is 3 hours away. Good morning. Please give me a ticket to New York. I will be at the Brooklyn Bridge inauguration.
Here you go. Hurry up and board. The train leaves at 6:55 a.m.
But it's 6 a.m. Why should I hurry up? I still have 55 minutes left.
Of course not. There is the clock. It's 6:45 a.m.
How strange. It's 6 a.m. in my watch. Okay, we will arrive in New York by noon.
I can assure you that you will be in New York at 11:30 a.m., according to the local time.
How is it possible to arrive at 11:30 a.m. when we are only 3 hours away? I should arrive at 9:50 a.m. What is the local time?
Every town has a specific time, according to the sun clock. There are more than 100 different time zones in the country. Didn't you know it?
Wow! More than 100 different time zones? Who could think of such a thing? What? 8:30 a.m.? But it's 7:55 a.m. in my watch. What is happening? This is so weird. My watch has been going back constantly. Great. It's 10:20 a.m. I knew the man in the station was wrong. But what happened here? Why does my watch keep going back? How is the train schedule so accurate? The salesperson in the station told me that I would arrive at 11:30 a.m. according to local time. This means that every station or city has a time adjusted to the region. Why does it look like my watch goes back as we advance towards the east, but we have arrived on time just as the salesperson told me? How is it possible? Could you help me to find out how the time zones are adjusted during this period? And what are the effects of this adjustment in people's daily lives? What would happen if this practice had been maintained? Discuss in groups. I will be right back in a minute. As you surely discussed, the existence of a different time zone in every town was due to the time adjustment according to the sun. This caused a series of problems. The main problem was the time of a watch traveling on the train couldn't match the local time, and it would keep going forward while traveling to the west and going back while traveling to the east. This would be confusing to the travelers. An alternative was to unify the time zones as much as possible, and the solution came on November 1883, when 4 time zones were created in the United States and along with the standardization of time zones across the world. This made transportation services and other daily life aspects more efficient. As we have just seen, standardization helps to solve problems when we need to unify not only time zones, but other daily life and organizational aspects. But first, we must understand what a standard is. To do so, let's imagine that every official soccer team has their own ball with a size, weight, and material for each team. Then, all balls would be different. Each team would get used to playing with their own ball, and this would be a problem when playing against other teams. For this reason, the competent authority, in this case the FIFA, determines the features for a ball to be considered as official. And in this way, no matter the team, the season, or the country where the games take place, all balls would be the same. The uniformity and homogeneity of the characteristics of similar products that we consume are known as a standard. We use standards daily. Imagine the keyboard of your computer and your cell phone. The way letter keys are placed is the same, whether the brand or model. QWERTY design was developed to avoid the keys of typewriters getting stuck in the center. Although nowadays it is not common to use typewriters, the standardization of keyboards makes typing easier. Measuring systems are another example, whether the international system or the English metric system. That is, a linear meter has the same measure in any country, and a foot represents the same length regardless of who is measuring it. Could you imagine what would happen if a foot's length changed according to the length of the foot of the person measuring it? Could it be considered a standard measure? Now you will do an activity in the classroom to help you understand the concept more clearly. What is the measure of your classroom in feet? Measure the classroom's length using the length of each student's foot. The professor will make a graph with the data obtained. Discuss the results with your classmates and professor. Hello again. How was the activity? I hope you had fun and you were able to observe the complexity of determining the classroom's length when each student measures with their own feet, because every person has a specific and different foot measurement. This means it is not a standardized measurement. Let's imagine the inconveniences that may be caused in the production of goods and services if production standards are not applied during the manufacturing processes. Every day, we consume millions of products with specific characteristics. The requirements are imposed by the global market, making companies adopt the standardization concept in order to create similar products with consistent quality. This reduces their production costs. Let's think about manufacturing car tires. There are hundreds of automobile models in the market. However, tire measurements have been standardized to make production easier and to reduce variations. One tire could be used on more than one automobile. Can you imagine what it would be like to manufacture tires exclusively for one automobile model? The importance of standards in production processes is such that nowadays, large and small companies invest thousands of working hours to define, control, and improve their processes in accordance with the required standards in order to satisfy their customers' needs. Now we will simulate a production process. We are going to apply the concepts we have learned in this section. Get together in teams. The professor will guide you in this activity in an aircraft factory. Let's do it. We are back. During the aircraft production, you were able to observe the importance of standards in the production processes. Which was the best airplane? Which one fulfilled the specifications of the customer and which one didn't? We can see that if there is not a defined standard, a pattern or model that allows us to evaluate the process and the product, it is very difficult to know if it fulfills all of our customers' requirements. If everyone decides how to build their own airplane, the result will be many different airplanes. In real companies, this situation has critical implications, such as the increase in the process cycle time, material waste, and a low product quality. Standardization allows companies to unify their production processes. Industrial engineers design processes that are increasingly more efficient in order to satisfy the demand for goods and services around the world. To do so, they develop working techniques that strengthen the organization's ability to create value, eliminating the unnecessary activities and simplifying tasks as much as possible. This helps to implement the most logical sequence, provided that the set objective is reached. How can we standardize a process? Let's analyze the following graph. If you want to get stable and consistent results, it is first necessary to define the working standard, then to establish the working conditions, then to determine the materials and equipment to be used in each activity. Then the personnel must be trained to carry out the activities in the same way. Finally, standard procedures are established in order to identify the best working methods and replicate them, step by step. The development of standardization processes must be monitored by experts on the processes in question. The main objective of process standardization is providing precise instructions to perform tasks, making the most of the resources used in production. Now, let's modify the rules of the previous activity. This time, the teams will get specific instructions and tools that will allow them to standardize the aircraft production process. Will we reach the set objectives? Let's do it. Hello again. How was the activity? I hope you got satisfactory results this time. Did you see that the standardization processes allowed us to get much more similar products? When using standards, we can compare the obtained product with the established model, and it is easier to identify defects or quality deviations in order to correct them. Production is also carried out in the same way. No matter who builds the airplane, it will all be the same as the model. Standardization is a way for companies to preserve the knowledge and experience they have created in the best way to carry out the activities. It is an excellent tool to increase its productivity and to maintain their competitive position in a global market that is increasingly more demanding. From the standardization of time zones, which made the coordination of telecommunications easier, to the massive production of goods and services, standardization allows us to keep production processes under control and to develop new and innovative improvement alternatives. Nowadays, companies seek the approval of their customers. To do so, most of them have changed the way they develop their products. Some companies allow customers to customize their products, either partially or wholly. Consequently, companies are facing new challenges. How could they manufacture large amounts of customized products? Production processes must be increasingly flexible to allow this without overlooking their product's quality or the use of their resources. I hope this lesson will be useful to you, and I hope you had fun and learned enough from the activity about the standards, not only in companies, but also in daily life. Now I challenge you to think about the following questions using all the knowledge you have acquired. Could all the products we know be standardized? What are the main pros and cons of standardization for manufacturers, consumers, and final customers? Discuss in class and do some research about what the new trends are focused on massive production processes. I am Professor Laura Gomez, and it was a great pleasure to share this lesson with you. See you later. Welcome to the lesson. This is a Blossoms lesson focused on industrial engineering, where students will take a closer look at the way production processes are carried out in order to pique their curiosity about the way daily products are created and about the importance of industrial process standardization. The objective of this lesson is to help the students understand the concept of standardization in order to apply it to the design of a standardized production process. It is recommended to have previous knowledge of the topic, as this will serve to guide the students in a clearer way during the activities and will also help students to reach the objective. The lesson is divided into 5 sections and 4 activities, designed to be conducted through the following content. Each section explains the key concepts the students need to do all recommended activities. The section following the activity offers a brief explanation of what happened in the activity. Activity 1, Trigger Questions. Guide the activity to core problem identification, which is the fact that the time in towns is adjusted according to the sun, that is, taking a fixed point as reference. When moving towards the east, time will go forward, while traveling towards the west, time will go back. This is because the sun moves from east to west. This creates confusion for a traveler who checks his watch. No matter how many times he adjusts it, it will never match the local time of the town he arrives in. In this section, students must be motivated to think about the problems that may arise from the time zone adjustments and how they could be solved by using the resources existing at that moment until getting an answer that leads them to the standardization topic. Activity 2. What is the measurement of your classroom in feet? Each student will measure the classroom's length in feet, but by using the length of their own feet. This means that each student will walk slowly across the classroom, putting one foot right in front of the other. The professor will record all data on the board. Data will be analyzed with a graph. It is important to help the students to be interested in knowing the standardized measurement and to understand the reason why standards are necessary. Activity 3, Aircraft Factory, Part 1. In this activity, paper sheets must be different among students. Each student will build an airplane as they know and can. This will result in an amount of different airplanes. This production couldn't be considered as standard. You may ask, what is the best airplane? As there's not a standard model, it wouldn't be possible to objectively determine which is the best airplane. Students shall discuss how to determine which is the best. This activity is designed for the students to fail at meeting the objective in order to analyze the importance of standards in production processes. This may cause conflict between the students, as most of them are competitive and perfectionists. However, do not forget that the objective of this activity is to highlight the conflicts that may arise in the manufacturing process when we do not have enough information or previous training. Activity 4, Aircraft Factory, Part 2. The variation on this activity will show the students that it is easier to control a standardized process. It also helps to highlight any faults and quality defects. It is also cheaper and helps to satisfy the customer efficiently. This activity is the conclusion of the lesson. Up until now, the students should distinguish a standard, recognize its importance in the production process, and, if there is time enough in the class, you may motivate them to design an airplane and its standard process. Lesson conclusion. Once the students have understood the basic concepts and the way in which procedures get standardized, they should be motivated to think about the possibility of standardizing all processes and obtain homogeneous products, compared to the possibility of offering customized products to see the difference between these and that the products they may be standardized without affecting the production process. For example, a made-to-measure suit is made for one person instead of being made in bulk to be sold to many people. Another example is the comparison between Rolls-Royce and Nissan automobiles and how customization may affect the cost and delivery time. Good luck!